Welcome to Prime Time, everybody. I'm your host, Harry Chambliss, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Carrie. How's it going, guys?
A little tired, but ready to talk about some horror anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely exhausted as well, but we are here to do our 2025 horror movie roundup.
It's worse.
So we have 6 movies from 2025 that we're going to talk about. Chad, you want to explain what the roundup series is before we get started?
Yeah, we devised the Roundup series because one year we decided to do a 61 days of Halloween one time. It was a couple years ago. And we
Very
decided,
ambitious of us.
yeah, so we were like, how we can't get together every day to record. So let's record these in like batches of 6 movies. We had a lot of fun doing that, going through like decades and stuff. And it took a very long time. Even when we did the next year, we did 31 days the same way, and it still took us a long time to finish. But ever since then, we've loved grouping batches of 6 movies and trying to find like different categories to fill those movies. And we like to make it like a regular series. So what we've kind of been trying to do is to take movies throughout the year and group them in 6 because the 3 of us can't always get out to see every single horror movie as they come out. So we're going to try and when we get to 6 we'll record one, and we've been not really up to speed doing it, so now we're playing a little bit of catch up with some more 2025 horror movies that we haven't reviewed on the channel yet. We wanted to get to it because we have some interesting ones for you today.
Special guest Binks.
Yeah, special guest Thackeray Binks, horror character from Hocus Pocus. Not the real one; it's just a replica. But I will say, I can go ahead and just announce the movie slate.
Yeah.
That'll know what you're getting into. Today we are covering 28 years later, the not the most recent Danny Boyle, Alex Garland film from the 28 series, but it's one of the 2 that have came out recently. It's the first one, and we're gonna go also with Drop, which is a Christopher Landon film that came out. He decided to step away from the Scream franchise, and then he created Drop. Frankenstein is a new movie from Guillermo del Toro. Is nominated for Best Picture recently, so it's still very, very topical. And also Elordi, Jacob Elordi.
Jacob Elordi.
Yes, was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Carrie, can you take the him is I don't know. I forgot the director, but I know Marlon Wayans is in it.
Justin Tipping.
There you go. Together is a new movie, or was a new movie last year from a power couple, Dave Franco and Allison Brie, 2 actors I really, really, really love, and a couple that I really love too. And then also another movie that is not Oscar nominated that has been getting a lot of praise, The Ugly Stepsister. It's a Shudder original, and it's also, what country is it? Is it France? No, Mexico?
No.
Italy?
Not Sweden.
Switzerland?
Oh my God, y'all.
Germany?
Maybe Germany. Austrian?
Australia?
Hold on.
New Zealand?
Norwegian. We'll just name every country until we get it, but it's Norwegian.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. That's the list that we have for you today. And we're going to go ahead and get into it. How we're going to do it is we're just going to like talk about each movie. We'll give you a little bit of like, we'll go around the bend, a little bit of each person gives you their roundabout summation of how they felt about the movie. We might do a small discussion for each one. And then at the very end, after we cover all 6 movies, we're going to give you our 3 rankings. And then Carrie, do you think you'll be able to do a overall? Carrie will
Yes.
find a way
I'll get a notebook
to
and
give
a pen.
to give us an overall ranking at the end.
And should we also mention that there could be potential spoilers for these movies as well? Just because
Yeah, so
they've
since
been out for a while, they're available to watch.
yeah, they've been out for a little while. So we will give you our roundabout thoughts with no spoilers, and then we'll do a short spoiler discussion. And I'll go ahead and I'll put pins, chapters in the video so that you can skip around if you need to.
There we go.
You just want to hear kind of our general thoughts
Mhm.
and don't want to hear the spoilers. You can skip around to the different
Yeah.
non-spoiler sections. And yeah, that's how we'll do it. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to go with, nope, 28 years later is our first movie. And we'll go ahead and we'll start with Hunter.
Okay, so a little bit of background. I have never seen 28 Days or 28 Weeks Later. I did not do any homework before going into this. And one thing I love about this movie is that you don't really have to watch those movies to understand what's going on. This movie does it. It's a very contained story that you can watch from beginning to end without having known what the original movie was about. But if you've seen the original movie, you do get a lot of Easter eggs. You do get a lot of, from what I heard, you do get a lot more of the world building that Danny Boyle did. Um, for me, I love this movie. I think this is a really fun, exciting, very scary zombie movie. And I love the world building. I love the idea of, kind of light spoiler here, not fully spoiler, but the connection between the country, like the safe space, the safe area, and the outside world, I think is done really well. Where like you're taught to fear the outside, fear the unknown, and you have these travelers who keep going over the water, and they some return, some don't, and some return very differently. I love that. That the acting is fantastic. Aaron Taylor Johnson is incredible in this movie. Just the writing and the way that they're able to subvert expectations, I really love. And this movie has a wild ending that I know some people don't like. I really loved it, and I'm super excited to see what happens in the Bone Temple as well.
Yeah, I thought this movie was interesting. I also liked it. I don't know if I would say that I loved it. I think it's one of those, like, I have seen 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later. I don't remember them like a ton, but I remember really liking those two. Weeks less than years. I mean, weeks less than days. Um, and I don't know if I like years more than days. I think I'd have to do a full rewatch of all of it to see that. Um, I think it was an interesting kind of concept. I think the world building, like you said, was kind of the best part, and how they're kind of taking the franchise and like expanding it, which could be like the best part or the worst part, depending on, like you said, the kind of the ending. If you like
Mm-hmm.
how they did the ending, I don't want to go into that just yet. Um, but there is a certain part, like before the actual like ending, before the ending, that I think was the best part, where they have like very philosophical ideas about like life and death and how people mean to, what people mean to other people, and
Mm-hmm.
connections, and what makes a person. And I think when they start to reach those kind of philosophical ideas, that's when the movie's at its best, and kind of building a lot of these characters and stuff. I do feel like it was rather short, and I think it was probably made that way in a way because they wanted to uh, have two halves. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if like just having those two parts together would have made an even better movie, or if it's like better that they're split off. I haven't seen the sequel, so I'm not sure. But this is something that I'm going to be wrestling with in my head as I, you know, rewatch the entire series because it's kind of weird. Like you watched the first part, and the first part was really good, but like I don't know if I would say it's great yet. I want to see that next part, and I want to kind of compare them and kind of put them in place in the franchise and just kind of see. But I do like following the young boy and his mother, um, and that journey was really interesting and also scary at a lot of times, and also really really interesting the way yeah, they develop not just the world, but the lore with the zombies or the infected as well.
Yes.
It's like really crazy. So, yeah, Carrie, what'd you think?
I really like this movie. It's not perfect, I think, by any means, but it was a really good follow up to the first two movies, I think, and I think it's definitely better than 28 Weeks Later. Um, it's like a really beautiful story. Ultimately, I think about a family and a coming of age story and a boy and his mom. Uh, so I really, really liked that aspect of it. I didn't expect it to go kind of in the direction it went, which was really cool. And it was really scary at times too, which was super fun. The beginning and the end, like they don't fit with the rest of the movie, but I can see why they included them, right? Because they're trying to set up a trilogy, and it would be weird to have a sequel that like just you haven't set up in the first movie.
Mhm.
But it does make these really weird bookend. Like the movie kind of ends at this emotionally ends at this really beautiful spot, and then there's this extra crazy ending, and I'm like, you kind of just ruined the ending
It
for me a little bit, but
it
maybe
does feel tagged on.
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's
So
it's kind of like one of those where it's like a continuous. It's like Lord of the
I wish they
Rings
had done it
kind
more
of a
as
deal.
like a that very end scene more as like a post credit scene. I think would have made a little bit more sense, but
Hmm.
I can see
it could have
that.
had the emotional impact of the end of the movie, and then you know still have set it up for the sequel pretty nicely. um
Yeah.
but that's I mean really the beginning and the end were my only like no like things that made this a little bit like this isn't a perfect movie, this is 5 stars for me. So yeah, but otherwise it was really good.
I think Carrie makes a great point. And before we skip over to oh, before we skip over to spoiler discussion, just know that this movie will make you emotional. So
Hmm.
that's one of the strengths of it. So
Hmm.
I think it's a recommendation from all three of us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely for me.
I would also say go check out 28 Days and Weeks Later as well, because those are good.
Hmm.
But as Hunter said, you don't really need them for this movie. And I also didn't know that it was going to be a trilogy. So I'm behind on the my horror headlines news. So um, all right, let's move on to the spoiler discussion.
Hmm.
And so right now, if you haven't seen it, you can keep watching or just click away or click forward to our unspoiler discussion of our next movie drop. And
Hmm.
and then there you go. So all right, Hunter, did you want to lead the discussion of the spoilers?
Yeah, there was one moment I want to talk about, and I think it's really done well. Oh, give me 1 second. Can you guys still hear? Can you guys still hear that?
A little,
Let's
but it's not as loud.
yeah.
So it's okay.
No. To be honest, no, it's can still hear it.
Better?
Yeah, I don't hear anything. I hear it a tiny bit, but you can't really tell what it is at all.
I would just
I
keep.
would only know it because it was playing louder before.
I would just talk, and we'll
Yeah, I
see
think it's fine.
what happens.
So,
Okay. All right, so I definitely want to get into a moment that I think worked very well script wise and the ideas that it brings into the movie, and that's when the zombie mother in the bus is giving birth. And I love the idea of Alex Garland being like, all right, if this happens, do we have a zombie baby? Are they already infected, or are they, do they have to be turned into infected? And the idea of, do you kill a baby or do you not? And that struggle that the main characters have of, you don't know what to expect. You don't know if that baby's going to be turned, but you can't kill a baby. And you got that really good dynamic going on that I really, really love. So I want to start there because I think that's a really interesting part of the movie that they really dived into.
Yeah, wasn't it a plot point that the boy's brother died? Am I making
Yes.
that up? Okay. So I feel like there was something to do with like the connection between his mother and this baby, that there was like something she was missing.
Hmm.
And so I feel like, that connection was really interesting. And yeah, I think it's fantastic and just like really cool idea to think about, like an infected giving birth, and then the question of, because like I feel like, I know like the army guy that was with them just wanted to kill the infected,
Immediately.
but she was like, no, 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 we're going to give birth to this thing first, and was able to see the humanity that was still left in the infected. And
Hmm.
that's such a really cool idea that it's not just like black and white with
Hmm.
the zombies relationship to the humans.
yeah.
Any thoughts on the baby?
No, I thought it was really well done. Like, connection between others and
The
stuff.
baby, I think, looked
It was cool.
pretty good too.
Hmm.
Not always is that the case. Um, I loved the fact that you have kind of like the lore. I know. I'm sorry. I know. Let's try to like keep it moving a little bit.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
we'll maybe kind of keep it. No, you're not doing anything wrong. But we'll try to keep it to maybe like just a few things in the spoiler
Mm.
uh, part. Um, so we'll each maybe kind of bring up a thing, if there's a thing. This one
Yeah.
is, I think, the most topical. Um, the one thing that I wanted to bring up that I really liked was just the idea of Ray Fine as the doctor, and like how you have kind of like that question that this whole society has kind of like shunned him, even though like it's not like they shunned him, they just decided not to visit him anymore because they
Mm.
thought it was creepy, and was like displaying all these bodies in this gross macabre way, like he didn't respect them at all. And then when you finally meet him, you see that it's the complete opposite, that he has so much respect for them that he's made like
A
these
bone temple.
a bone temple, these towers of skulls, that he's like placed them, neatly in these things
Hmm.
just to like honor them. And just the way he sees like death and stuff like that. It was just really kind of fascinating to see. And also, kind of sobering, just the thought of like being so blunt and frank about death, and then how they quickly transition his mother from, we can't save her, to now she's a skull. And
Hmm.
the little boy, put the skull on top, was just like really sad, but also, I don't know, beautiful in a way. He got to
Hmm.
say goodbye to his mom, which is really emotional.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts on that?
Um, I will say I do love that scene. And maybe I look too much into this, but I also feel like the not trusting the doctor thing could be seen as also a COVID back in 2020 when COVID was a big thing, not trusting the doctors because they're evil, blah blah blah, things like that. But because you have a society that's literally offshore, away from civilization, and they're shunning a doctor. Maybe I'm looking too much into that, but I like maybe the two parallels of that as well.
Yeah. Another thing we could do, because we are trying to keep the pace of these roundups moving a little bit quicker, is we could maybe do a Bone Temple double review at some point after we
Oh
see
yeah.
the Bone Temple and stuff. But yeah, Carrie, is there any other like scenes that you wanted to mention or like spoiler type topics that you wanted to bring up before we move on?
I don't know. It's kind of interesting what they chose to do with Ray Fiennes' character in this movie, considering, and I know you haven't seen the first one, Hunter, but his character is very different in the first one.
His character's in the first one?
Right?
He is?
Am I losing my mind and I'm mistake? Hold on. Let me double check.
I thought all were new characters. I'm sorry. Whoa.
Hold on.
Yeah, you just blew my mind if that's the case.
Maybe I'm.
You talking about?
I'm mixing up Christopher Eccleston and Ray Fiennes. I thought the whole time that was the same freaking character.
That's really
funny. I was
funny.
like, this is like weird.
Okay. I was like, oh my god, maybe there is a connection.
Okay, this changes my whole perspective. Honestly,
we're gonna have to rewatch the franchise into Bone Temple.
Why did I confuse? They look kind of similar.
I was about to say you like blew my mind. I was like, he's in the first one.
All right, let's just cut that whole thing out. And,
no, we'll leave it in because it's funny. Unless you really want me to. All right.
Okay.
Is there any other?
Man. Now my mind's blown. The Bone Temple stuff. I mean, that was it is a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're excited to check out the next one when it comes on streaming, I guess, because we missed it. But we'll move on to the next movie, which is Drop from Christopher Landon and Blumhouse. I guess I'll start with this one with we're in our non-spoiler section of Drop. Drop I was really excited for. I think the trailers are really cool. I like Christopher Landon. I'm not in love with his movies or like all of them. I like the Happy Death Day ones at least. I didn't really like Freaky all that much. But Drop kind of seemed like up my alley. I like stuff like Wes Craven's like Red Eye and things like that. Just really cool like psychological thrillers, especially if there's like a big mystery behind it. That's exactly what this is. And I think that the mystery behind it is really cool. Obviously, I can't really go into that because we're in non-spoilers. But I think the mystery is really cool. The acting is really cool. The way they present it is really cool. I like the setting of the restaurant and the mom just trying to go on a date. And then she gets, calls basically saying that her family's in danger if she doesn't do exactly what the caller says, and it's kind of like, when a stranger calls kind of a thing, where it's like a creepy voice behind the phone. It's like Scream kind of a deal. So I guess this is Christopher Landon. If he would have directed a Scream, maybe we would have got something like this. But yeah, I didn't love the movie overall. I liked it. I think I might like it more on a rewatch, but I did really like where they went with like, the overall like what's going on in the mystery. I thought was really cool, and how that I feel like it felt like it might be a little predictable, but maybe not, because I wasn't fully there, but I kind of maybe half guessed it. And I think the only other thing that I had an issue with was that I wish they would have made her the baby was it her sister was the babysitter?
I think so.
Her sister and her son more of characters. I maybe wish they would have like developed them a little bit more, but the story was about her. The story was about her like connection to trauma and things in her past and trying to move on from that and stuff. And I think that was all done pretty well. So I liked it. I think if you love good psychological thrillers, this is going to keep you guessing. It's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, and it's very effective. Carrie.
Yeah, this movie was fine. If you're looking for like a good suspense movie or psychological thriller, I think this is like a good one to throw on. It's not too bad. There's an interesting mystery. I don't know. I didn't love it, and I don't know. Like Chad said, maybe I would like this more on a rewatch, just knowing how it ends. It's hard to watch like an entire movie where a child is like at risk in the way that happens in this movie. I don't know. It was a little bit of a difficult watch, and like
Gotcha.
she has to do a lot of like cringy, socially unacceptable stuff, which also I have a hard time watching. So there's a lot of like factors that made this, for me personally, a little difficult to watch. That said, I think like the average, like most people probably would really actually enjoy this if you enjoy suspense movies. It's not bad though. I would definitely watch it again and see how I feel about it.
Absolutely. Hunter.
Yeah, so I think I like this more than a lot of like you guys did. I'm not saying you guys hated it, but I think I am marketing on the loving it territory, and mostly because I love movies like this. I love a really good thriller that keeps me guessing all the way through, and this one does a really good job at setting it in mostly one location where you're on this date, you're with this main character, and you kind of are following along. And the movie does a great job at putting you in her footsteps, in her seat, where it's like, what would you do? Like, how far would you go? Would you do the same things that she's doing, which I love? I will say the only thing I didn't like was the mystery reveal. And that's only because it felt tagged on a little bit, but I do like how they mixed in what the date does with the reveal. I'm not going to get into it, but I like that. I just wish it would kind of float a little bit better. But I love the use of technology in this movie. I love using the airdrop and things like that. But also, I love the text like floating on the screen where you can read alongside with her. I feel like that's a good way to put the audience in her perspective of like, okay, we as an audience are now reading the text alongside her, and it puts us in her shoes. That I love. The acting is great. I think. What's the name of the actor? Brandon Scott Skynor. I believe that's how you say his last name. As the date, I think he brings a really warm and inviting feeling to the movie that really works off of our main character, which she brings this kind of nervous like energy just going on a date because she's not used to it, and I think they work well off of each other. I think Christopher Landon does a great job at the directing, and the acting is great. I'm also a fan of Christopher Landon just in general. I love all his movies. I especially love Freaky, and this one's a Drop is a really good date movie. It's a really good date night movie. You can put it on. It's a really good mystery. You enjoy the characters, and I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I agree, and I will also shout out, as Hunter was shouting out Brandon Sklenar and Megan Fahey. I think
Megan Fahey.
We're really good.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out if you like psychological thrillers. And we're going to go to a spoiler discussion briefly. And if you haven't seen it, skip to our next movie, which is Frankenstein. And here we go with our spoilers. Just real quickly, I think the mystery's good. I like the red herrings that they have. Like the
Mhm.
waiter is really funny. I like him a lot. And I forget like all of the red herrings, but I know that like it ultimately ends up being is the one guy that she met, like talked to early on, and is sitting like over there at
Mhm.
just a table nearby. And I thought that guy was really good. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
thought his performance, like he didn't like I thought it could be him, but I wasn't fully sold on it. And I think his performance was why is that you kind of
Mhm.
felt bad for him because he's like I just got out of a marriage, or like maybe he's a widower. I think
And then he got stood up on the date, so you feel extra sad for him.
bad for him, and then and then he's evil, and you're like, oh shit, dude, this guy,
Mhm.
um, and stuff. I mean, that's really for the spoiler. All I can say, I did really like her date, and there was a brief time where I was wondering if the date was in
Was
on,
the Mhm.
or yeah, was the guy. Obviously not the voice, but
Yeah.
maybe if the voice was pre-recorded, or I don't know. I was like thinking a bunch of different things, and ultimately I liked where they went with it. I
Mhm.
can't think of anything else spoiler to say though. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I kind of get what Hunter means about it being tagged on, like that reveal kind of being tagged on, because isn't it like her kid and sister get saved and then they do the reveal, or no?
No, so I think the big reveal happens, and then they get police thereafter.
Oh,
I think
okay.
she has to go save them. I think she
What I
leaves to save them.
Yeah, so what
Long
I mean tagged on is the explanation of why this dude is doing what he's doing.
okay.
It feels like he doesn't really have a connection to her as more as the date, because the date is. Let me see if I can find
Oh,
the
he's
name.
he's trying to get that guy to do something,
It's like they're
or
Yeah,
trying to
so
delete the pictures or whatever
yeah,
he took or whatever it is.
he,
that's right. That's
What
what
it
he's
it
on the mayor's
is.
payroll and plans to assassinate Henry, who just to testify against the mayor. And I guess he just intends on pinning it on his date as that she finally snapped.
Yeah. I will say
Mm.
the other thing that I liked but also didn't like was her abusive ex-husband, the
Mhm.
son's father, like that whole situation um I thought was really intense and scary.
Mhm.
It also was great motivation for uh her not being as open and not being as strong
And
because
trusting as well. Yeah.
she's felt trauma, and it's hard to get over something like that. Sometimes you
Mhm.
never get over something like that. And I can't even see how you would. But to see them argue in such a violent way with the baby crying and stuff was triggering for sure.
Mhm.
But it was effective for like
I
his
will say
to
the
tell.
way that Landon does the red herrings, as you guys said, I really want to see what his version of a Scream movie would be, because he can do like this movie has shown that he's good at red herrings, and I think that's what you need in a great Scream movie is
Well,
predict really good red herrings.
yeah, I don't know. I I still think that Christopher Landon is not at the level of a Scream, but I
Mm,
could be wrong. He was almost there. He was almost going to do it, and it didn't happen. Who knows if they keep doing this? If Kevin wants to do his a new trilogy or something, maybe Kevin will do that, or maybe they'll start if they want to keep making more and more Screams. Then maybe they'll go back and say, Christopher Landon, you finally get your chance. If he even wants to do it, Landon might say now, like, yeah, it was too toxic. I don't know. But
yeah,
um,
the Scream fandom can definitely be toxic sometimes.
Well, I think we should go ahead and move on unless someone else
Mm-hmm.
has something to add. Tank,
I'm
you
good.
have something to add? All right, so we recommend Drop. We like it at different levels, but we all liked it. We all enjoyed it for sure. I had a really good time with Drop. So now we're moving on to the next movie, which is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Now, honestly, this is probably one that we could talk about a lot, but we're going to try to keep our discussion to a minimum because it's a roundup, and maybe at a later point we can do a fuller discussion.
We should do a double feature of this and The Bride when it comes out. That would be a great like double feature to do.
Yeah, maybe. Carrie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
Non-spoiler.
non-spoiler for a movie based on a novel that's been out for
Everyone's read it.
a long time, over 100 years. Okay. Anyways, this is Guillermo del Toro's adaptation of Frankenstein. It's everything you think it would be. It's Guillermo del Toro, and it's a gothic horror, and it's Frankenstein. The acting's really good. The cinematography is like everything in this movie is just gorgeously done. Obviously, like Guillermo del Toro, he's gonna give you sympathy for. I don't want to use the monster, but Frankenstein's creation and everything, the creature. I thought this was a really good adaptation. I guess I've discovered lately Gothic horror just really isn't super my thing. So, it was a little hard for me to stick with it sometimes, as like beautiful as it was. I don't know. It's just, I think, not incredibly my cup of tea, at least at this point. But I would definitely recommend it. Just as a Frankenstein adaptation, it's really good.
And I will say, Jacob Elordi is billed as the creature. So
the creature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hunter, what are your thoughts?
So I absolutely love this movie. Gothic horror, I found out recently, is my thing. I really love the world of Gothic horror, the big mansions and the big dresses and the time period. I don't know. There's something about that kind of attracts me to it.
Except if there's ghosts.
Yes. But even some Gothic ghost movies I do like because of the environment. But I love this movie. This is what Guillermo del Toro. You can tell this is one of his passion projects. You can tell he loves the novel and loves the 1930s movie, and he really wanted to bring his adaptation to this. And what I love is that this movie is very long, but I can watch it multiple times because it is rewatchable. I love that it's done in chapters, like acts. So you have like the epilogue, the act 1, act 2. I love movies that do that because you can break it up and watch different acts if you want. You don't have to watch it fully. You can watch whatever act after you've seen it. And I kind of like that adaptation of it. Again, the world is beautiful. Like the cinematography is just striking, and everything looks so majestic and magical that I absolutely love coming back to this world. Jacob Elordi is absolutely great as the creature. I think because they didn't do what older movies have done with Frankenstein, where he's this, kind of not dumb, but kind of just, this big giant, creature. Like they did it from the adaptation of the book, in which the creature starts off as that monster, and then slowly becomes smart and becomes, very intelligent. And that's what's scary, is that it's a creature that not only has, like, emotions and heart, but also is very intelligent and calculating. And I love that Del Toro took that version of Frankenstein and gave that to us. Oscar Isaac is incredible in this movie as Dr. Frankenstein. I think he gives you that balance of the mad scientist of Victor, but also the heart of the human. And I love that we get to follow him through college and we get to see what his mission really was when creating the creature, when creating the monster, which was, I want to bring people back to the life because I want to save my mother. I want to bring my mother home. And that's a really good human story that I absolutely love. So from the acting, the cinematography, the story, the script, I absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, this one is like really, really fascinating because I feel like Guillermo del Toro is the perfect director for something like this. Like, he's like the next kind of like Tim Burton, like he has like his own style, but like really does the gothic really well. I mean, that kind of like both of them have their own style of bringing the macabre to life in kind of like a realistic way, but then also like how they like you know circuses and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I love that this fits Guillermo's style so well, but it also like feels like a corrected version of like all the other Frankenstein movies that you've ever seen.
Mhm.
Whereas the original James Whale Frankenstein is like a great classic film, but
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't really follow the book. The Bride of Frankenstein, kind of follows it maybe a little bit more closely, but like really neither of them do
Mhm.
that much. And yet, the next one that I saw was the Kenneth Branagh one that we covered in a previous roundup
Mhm.
that I liked at times, but we all felt that it was very unfocused and just didn't really know how to tell its story. Whereas
Mhm.
with Guillermo del Toro, he knew exactly how to tell the story. But he had the book, he had those two James Whale movies, and then he had that Kenneth Branagh version that covered the book pretty well,
Mhm.
but not perfectly. And then I feel like here, Guillermo del Toro was able to apply his style and correct it to like the perfect kind of like exactly what we needed from the style of movie. And how you talked about all the performances are fantastic. Christoph Waltz is really great.
So good.
Seeing like where his character goes, and maybe some tragedy with that, and
Mhm.
kind of like the competition between uh Victor and his father, the creature being his own person, and like you said, gaining intelligence, and then the question of who's the real monster, and just so many ideas that are explored in this. I just think are just explored so well. And like you said, I love how it's split up into chapters, and it just feels like a novel coming to life.
Mhm.
And also very macabre and very gory and very like body horror.
Yeah.
Like if you think about like medical stuff with like bodies and stuff.
A lot of medical gore. Surprisingly gory.
Del Toro is pretty gory often.
Mhm.
Knows how to do the gore. So
I will
that's
say, Chad, I love your take on how this movie feels like Del Toro took the best parts of every adaptation of Frankenstein and put it together. This is his version of the two James Wells movies, the Kenneth Branagh one, and he focuses it. I love that plot point.
yeah. Um, so that those are our unspoiler thoughts. We'll do a quick, brief spoiler kind of thing if there's anything we want to touch on there's like one thing I want to bring up, but we can go ahead and start with Carrie. Is there any spoiler stuff you want to bring up?
Yeah, probably my favorite part of this movie was Mia Goth and her relationship with the creature, and also her relationship with Victor Frankenstein and Victor's brother. And she clearly starts kind of falling in love with Victor, but once she kind of sees what he's done to the creature, she's just like, I'm not going to stand for this.
Yeah.
And I just love how Guillermo del Toro, like, through Mia Goth, like, I think kept the more feminist aspects of this movie. Like, obviously the novel was written by a woman, and just how Mia Goth as a woman can relate to the creature, and the creature is kind of like, a symbol for women, especially at that time, being raised and then kind of abandoned by their fathers and all of that.
I didn't even think about that, Carrie. That's a great point.
That is all like kind of like, literary analysis that I did not, I'm just mentioning. I did not like come up with that or anything.
Why wouldn't they have made the creature a woman then? If that represented women.
So that
technically they did, because Mia Goth becomes his bride. So I like how as Carrie said, they use she sees the monster in chains and the monster being abused, and she can apply that to herself of like,
the monster.
Well, I don't have a choice. Like, I'm forced to marry somebody. Like, my will is being taken away, like the monster's will is being taken away from him.
I guess the creature can kind of represent so many different things to different people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to her, that's what that represented. And to Victor, represented maybe a part of himself that, he was like, I guess, like his desire for like perfection, and sees that it's not perfect, or it's different than he thought it would be, kind of a deal. And the exploration of science and moving on from like past the mortal coil, and like, is there life beyond this?
Yeah, I mean, he's so obsessed with saving people, and like Hunter mentioned earlier, with bringing back his mother, that he doesn't consider, and like through this whole ordeal, he learns that there are things that are worse than death.
Yeah.
As Pet Sematary said, sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
Or the Horatio quote from Hamlet. There are things in I can't remember the quote. Anyways.
Oh, go ahead, Chad. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I absolutely love Mia Goth in this movie. I think she is incredible. She's incredible in everything she does, but in this one, I love how through the whole movie you get to see who this character is, and then she becomes the bride, which I think, as much as I do love The Bride of Frankenstein from the 30s, the James Well, I don't think they focused on her as a character as well as they could have before turning her into the monster, into the bride of the creature. And this one, I think it does so well because we are introduced to her kind of early on in the movie with William, and her getting to know Victor, and then her getting to know the monster, and we get to develop that relationship between her and the monster, that when she turns and becomes the bride, you understand that there's already a connection there between the two of them.
Yeah, she's really good in the movie. I like how they handled that as well.
Jacob Elordi also is incredible.
The one thing that I wanted to add that Carrie knows had me like applauding and like going, yes, was like right like a dab smack in the middle of the movie when they're on the boat, and Victor's talking to that like ship captain and telling him his story, and then the creature finally shows up,
Yes.
and he shows up in like such a majestic way. He's like all wrapped up, and then he kind of unfolds, and then he just goes. You kind of see Jacob Elordi as the creature in his kind of like ultimate form of being like this intelligent being. And he goes, you've heard his story. And then there's a really good pause. And then it goes like, now I'll tell you my story.
Yeah.
Or now I'll tell you mine. And I loved it. I love that because I saw that coming, and I basically said what Jacob Elordi was going to say, either right before he said it or right as he was saying it. I said it at the same time. And then I went, yes, because I just love how Del Toro segmented that into like the two kind of big halves. And you get
the first half is Victor and his rise, and then the last half is the monster's rise.
Yeah, and you get to see kind of the dynamics between the two characters, and the directions that they go and stuff. And I love that. So this is definitely a movie that I'm gonna want to rewatch at some point because well, I pretty much have to because it was nominated for an Oscar, or Best Picture.
Yep. One more thing I want to add that's a spoiler. I love the interaction between Jacob Elordi and David Bradley, who plays the blind man in this movie. I love their connection because you get it somewhat in the original Bride movie, but this one you get to really understand how the monster becomes intelligent, and it's just he hides in the barn and he hears David Bradley read or telling stories to his granddaughter, and his granddaughter reading stories, and you get to put it together that he's learning words and sentences because he's listening to these stories. And then the David Bradley also just gives a great performance. I think he's just a great actor in general. So him then dying and the monster being like, well, now I have nobody. Like, I'm literally alone again. Like, he found somebody that he could be himself around, and then that got ripped away from him again.
Yeah, it's definitely a great way to show that. And then you get to see like all the crazy violence that Del Toro knows how to direct so well. Like, holy shit, what did he just do to those people? That's insane. Like, creature strength that he has, that I'm just like, this is like such a supernatural story because it's like, he's just like a reanimated like group of body parts. Why the hell is he so strong? It's like he's like Superman right now. Anyways, the last thing I wanted to add real quick, and unless Carrie wanted to add something else, is Christoph Waltz's like whole thing about put me in the body, and just the idea of someone knowing about it and wanting to have their consciousness implanted, and then like you're kind of wondering like, is that what they're gonna do or something like that, and then he ends up dying tragically. And I kind of like that whole thing because Christoph Waltz is one of the best actors.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, I guess we can move on to the next one, which is, and Frankenstein is a recommendation from us, right, Karen?
Yeah, definitely.
Him. Back up to the top with Hunter. Go ahead.
I am going to get probably downvoted a lot for this. I love this movie. I think this movie is going to be, out of this whole list, I think this movie is going to end up being like a cult classic. Mostly because, one, I think Marlon Wayans is just such a great actor, and he gets to show it in this movie. He's very intense. He's very stoic, but he's also kind of crazy, and I love it. This movie, I think, is very rich with details about, literally signing your soul away and what you will do for fame, and like fame and attention, and when you have a dream, how far will you go to achieve that dream? Which I really like. I also love the whole training aspect of it, taking a football movie, adding a little bit of horror twist to it. I think the ending is insane, but I absolutely love it. It goes over the top, but I think in a great way. Um, so I really like this movie. I know a lot of people don't. I know critics especially did not like it. I walked into it wanting a very good time, an entertaining time, and I came out getting a lot more from it.
Um, him is one that, I had heard a lot of negative things about. I know Hunter liked it, and I knew like some people were trying to like claim it as like, maybe this has something more to it than people thought. I thought it had a lot of like interesting, like, it kind of felt a little bit like Get Out in a way. It felt like it had a little bit of like, maybe Suspiria kind of vibes as far as like, um, you know, behind the scenes kind of stuff. And just like, like the whole question about, or also kind of like Whiplash a little bit, like the, obsession about being the best and, reclaiming, your youth and, stuff like that. And also just, holding on to something that is so, uh, fleeting, like, your time in the spotlight. So there's a lot of really interesting ideas. And I thought it was well made. I thought certain parts were kind of scary, psychological, things like that. I thought Marlon Wayans was pretty good. Some of the speeches that he was given, some of the concepts of what they were, the underlying, uh, thing that was going on. I did think the main character, the main actor, was pretty bland. Is maybe my biggest negative. No offense to the actor, but I'm just like, I don't know. Is this guy like a good actor or not? I couldn't really tell. He did have a good scene towards the end though, so maybe it was just a bad read, but I'm not sure. I don't know how other people feel, but I would say mid. What do you think?
I didn't really like this movie. I kind of thought it was a mess of a movie.
Yeah.
Like Chad said, there were some really interesting ideas there. I just don't think any of them were really well executed. And it just seems like a lot of scenes together. Like, I know there was an overarching story. The end was kind of like, I think, hitting you over. Like, it wasn't like kind of dropped like symbolism and stuff. It kind of just like hit you over the head with like, this is what the meaning of this movie is and what's going on. And I don't know. I couldn't honestly tell you a lot. Also, like I know the basic plot of this movie, but I couldn't tell you a ton about it otherwise. I don't know. It wasn't for me, I'll say.
Fair. All right. So him is a recommendation from Hunter.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to a quick spoiler discussion, not very long. Hunter, I'm sure you have some spoilers you want to talk about.
Yeah, so let's jump right to the ending of this movie because I do agree with Carrie that it is on the nose, but I don't really mind that. I'm also somebody who I love 2021's Candyman, and I think that ending is also really on the nose, but I think some movies can just bash you over the head with it without it being forced. And I think this movie does it. Like you get the symbolism, but it's kind of forced through the entire movie. You understand what this movie is. You understand that it's literally a devil that he's signing his soul to, and that Isaiah, played by Marlon Wayans, has signed his soul over. And I didn't really mind it. I actually like that it goes full balls to the wall, where it's just like, I'm gonna be on this field and I'm gonna slaughter you all. And it's a cathartic moment for me where it's the actor or the character being like, I'm not gonna just conform to anybody. I'm not gonna sign a contract. I'm not gonna I'm gonna go my own way, and he literally slaughters the entire field. I don't know. I don't mind when things are too on the nose, but I can understand why people would be jarring that they went so on the nose with it.
I see where you're going with it, but I would never compare this to Candyman because I think that movie's brilliant. But I knew Tim Heidecker was going to have something to do with it, and his part was pretty fun. Other than that, I think Hunter covered the spoiler part of it. I don't really have much to add.
I mean, I think there's a lot, like we were talking about, there's a lot of good ideas here, especially with like brain injury in football.
Yeah.
And, I just don't think it was like the most well executed, and like I think there is like a good way to convey those messages in a movie that I think would be like actually impactful, but unfortunately this movie didn't quite get there.
Maybe we can have that explored in Smile 3. We'll do like football.
I will say, speaking of concussions, I absolutely love the visual effects that they used when the head-to-head collision happens and you see like the impact of it. I think that's a really cool way to break up and show the literal impact that these hits are having on him. And I think one of the creepiest scenes in this movie is when they're working on catching the ball, and this one guy just goes up and just takes it right to the face, and then takes the football right to the face again, and just gets his face like mangled up.
See, those were the parts of the movie that I thought were like a hot mess, kind of, because I'm like, what is happening here? Just like it doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be something that like these football players, that's basically what they're doing to themselves, and just not like that graphically. But
to me, I saw it more of like what people are willing to do to impress their idol. And it's like people will go in real life. People do go overboard to like, impress their idol. And with Isaiah being right there and him saying, "You better do this or you're gonna be out." Like it's a live or die situation where he is such a legend and people look up to him that he's kind of testing their limits of how far they will go. But again, I could be looking into it because I do like the movie more than most people, though.
I wonder if maybe like the concept works a little bit better if it were kind of like something like Whiplash instead of like be like just like a realistic movie about a character rather than going like so hard into this crazy horror bit and with the devil and Tim Heidecker and all the stuff. Maybe that was just, I don't know, maybe not the right fit for a movie about like football injuries or something. But I don't know. I mean,
again, like it's not perfect, but I think a lot of people hated on it for like it. I think it got overhated, in my opinion.
But I was going to say that's also where like the interesting concept comes from is the football and the devil. So I don't know. You may like it, you may not. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to the next movie, which is Together. Carrie, let's kiss. Just kidding.
Not kissing in front of that poster.
Not in front of that poster.
That's me. To hold my hand, take my hand, Carrie.
Together.
All right, so I'll start with this one. Together, I thought was really freaking weird, but interesting. As I said, I like Dave Franco and Allison Brie. I think they're a great power couple. I like I've watched their Hot Ones verses together, and it was really cute. And then just seemed like really awesome. I like, they Franco directed The Rental, which was a really good movie, and Allison Brie was in it. And I just like that they're like this filmmaking team now. And so I was interested in this one, and I was excited to check it out. I didn't really know what the concept was necessarily from the trailer. I knew they were supposed to like morph into each other or something. And the way that the concept unfolds was interesting, but a little weird. I thought it might be like different than it actually was. But I liked how they were showing the attraction or the need, like the obsession, to be super close with each other, like being like, this force that like hurts, and you need to kind of like be close. And but then when you're starting to like merge, it just gets like really weird and it hurts. And it's but then like it's I'm getting too into spoilers actually. So I don't want to say anything more, but I knew that the concept was going to be weird. And uh I was interested to see like how this unfolded. I thought that the dynamics were a little bit interesting. I thought they were like a little bit unfair to Dave Franco's character. I felt like people were being really mean to his character too much in the movie. Okay, maybe Carrie has a completely different take than I did. And I thought the ending was very strange. I don't know how I feel about this movie. I liked it because it was really fascinating and I liked the two actors, but it was also just really, really strange. And I'm not sure how I felt about the ending and the overall like what happens. But yeah, I liked it and I would recommend it just because I think it's a really cool movie. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I agree with that. It wasn't like my favorite, but I thought it was a very interesting movie. I think it's worth watching, especially if you like or can tolerate body horror, because this is very body horror. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting little movie. I think it's worth checking.
Is it on to me? Um, I really like this movie. I love the connection between Dave Franco and Alison Brie. I think obviously they're together in real life, so they have that natural chemistry and they work well as a couple in this movie. And you get that natural chemistry between the two of them. Um, this is also a movie about codependency in a way I've never seen done, where they literally need each other and they're literally on top of each other. It's a really good story about codependency, about like when you need somebody so much that you can't live or breathe without them. And I like that aspect of the story. The body horror, I absolutely love. I'm a huge fan of body horror movies. So this one really worked for me. The ending is where I'm conflicted because I like what happens. I don't know if I like the execution of it.
Gotcha.
I think we might all kind of like be in agreement on certain things about this movie, actually. Um, so yeah, we can move on. And so I think it's safe to say this is a recommendation from all of us.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, skip to the next movie, our final movie of the roundup, and we're going to go to a brief spoiler discussion.
Mhm.
Brief spoiler discussion, real quick. Um, Yeah, I agree. I like the how it's about codependency. Um, I also think we should talk briefly about like, because I said that people are mean to Dave Franco's character. You agreed with me. And then I think we should also definitely touch on that ending because I
Mhm.
did think it was like really strange about how they decided to just merge together and then they were like this weird hybrid person. And I was like, I did
If you
not
are like
know where
me,
they were going.
I
That
was I was expecting a substance ending where they're gonna be like molded together and
Oh
like the
yeah,
ending where it's like like half of them are gonna be like go full like Cronenberg on it, and I think I
they
was
did
kind of
sort of
disappointed.
for a second, but then
Hmm. Yeah, so I think I was kind of disappointed that they didn't go full like just go balls to the wall at the end. If you're going to do the body horror, I would rather them just go straight for it instead of giving us kind of the soft ending of them just kind of being one where they just look like a normal person.
but I don't think like that was necessarily the story they wanted to tell, where they
Yeah.
became a big blob mess. Like I'm wondering if because we saw like the blob mess of a thing that was still in the cave. I'm wondering if that was two people that wanted to merge and then they changed their mind.
No, it's that they were trying to resist it so much, and then the
Right.
guy killed himself, and then
Yeah.
they still kind of merged together. So
Oh, that's so creepy.
they didn't complete the transition. But the one guy, the other teacher, is like a merged person,
Mhm.
and that's like the representation of doing it openly.
Maybe I went into this movie hearing that it's a body horror movie, and I instinctively just thought, oh, they're gonna go, full creature design. Maybe that was on me for expecting that when a story.
Probably, yeah.
To be fair though, like I had just watched The Substance too. Like I love The Substance, so I had that on my mind as well, and I wanted to see what kind of creature design they were going with. But that was just me like going for something that the story wasn't going to tell, and that's on me, not the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I like Dave Franco's character, and I thought that everybody was like being too mean on him to
Carrie's face.
not, follow his dreams.
Oh, okay. I mean, there's only like 3 characters in this whole movie.
Were you talking about it because like she proposed to him, which was adorable, and he like didn't say yes right away?
No, I just mean who's mean to him in this movie. Allison Brie is maybe a little like
Allison Brie
but they're
and his
kind of mean
friend.
to each other.
Allison Brie and his friend calls her, and then her friend is like, basically saying he's like a piece of shit who doesn't do anything. And then Allison Brie's
that at all.
mean to him like quite a bit too, where like, I don't know. I just felt not that it was one-sided, like he was, definitely like had his own too, issues. But, I just kind of felt like they needed like the tension there, and sometimes I think it felt a little forced. So I was like, this is a cute couple, it's fine. Like I feel like all their problems are being like manufactured right now. I don't know.
I thought the stuff with his parents was really scary. That was my favorite part of the movie. Like the nightmares he had about his parents. And,
like, nightmares. That's right. Scary. That, you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of the side story. Again, we're talking about Pet Sematary from Pet Sematary.
Zelda.
Ooh, that stuff.
I thought it was really fun that they have this movie's like obviously body horror heavy, but they threw in, especially towards the beginning, some like some just like plain old spooky horror too.
Oh yeah,
it's fun.
Really fun. Yeah, I like that stuff.
I also love the scene where they bring in the is it a electric saw? And they just go for it.
Yeah, it's like a turkey saw or something like that.
Yeah, turkey saw.
Like a turkey.
I love that they added a little bit of humor where Dave Franco is like, I really don't want to watch you do this. Like, why do I have to go first?
Yeah, that was pretty nuts. Thinking about like, and then like it was kind of funny. Like right after they were done doing it, he's like, "Don't do it, and then they do it. And then they're just sitting there like eating snacks after that.
The cut of them being like, "Don't do it," and then them just sitting there like, "Yep, we did it." It was hilarious.
Yeah,
such a great cut.
All right.
But yeah,
Well, a little bit of confliction there. I'd maybe like to rewatch it down the line a little bit
definitely.
because I did like it, um, and it'll be fun to kind of see it after knowing the ending later.
Mhm.
But it's definitely a recommendation, and we will move on now to our final film in the roundup, a buzzy one that is now nominated for Best Hair and Makeup at the Oscars, which was like a really crazy nomination, but really cool one. So, The Ugly Stepsister. Carrie, do you want to start with this one?
Yes, this is an adaptation of the tale of Cinderella, told primarily from one of the stepsisters' point of view, and it's a little bit more like definitely not a fairy tale, like about beauty standards and how the stepsisters are competing against each other, and the things that the stepsister, not Cinderella, feels like she has to do in order to like meet certain beauty standards and get the prince. And this is like, man, we just talked about body horror movie, but this
Mhm.
one it's we've talked about a few body horror movies in this roundup. This is like the most intense, I think, most gory of the films. It was definitely very hard to watch at times, and it was an interesting take though on the fairy tale.
Oh yeah, Hunter's next, and then me.
So I just got done watching this movie. Actually, I just finished it right before this podcast. I really like it. I really enjoy this movie because it's a great twist on the Cinderella story. Because at first, if you're like me, I didn't know anything about this movie, so I went in thinking, oh, this is going to be the character we're following is going to be the hero of the story. No, it's actually the sister that we meet that you think is going to be one of the mean stepsisters. So I like that it takes that and turns it on its head as well. And I love the dynamic of what you will do, as Carrie said, the beauty standards and how far you will go to be accepted into society, and especially during this time period where like you've got a prince and you've got people who are wanting to marry the prince, and you have all this kind of you know extreme body horror that we'll get into that the main character does to herself to meet those standards. I really like that take on it. There's really nothing negative I can think of. Maybe it's a little too long in the middle, but I think other than that, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, this is one that I heard a lot about before seeing it. I knew kind of like it was a take on the Cinderella kind of thing, and I knew it was gonna, you know, talk about beauty standards and things like that, and be really good with like makeup and whatnot. I thought a lot of that stuff was really great. I like kind of different kind of takes on fairy tales. I think those can be like really interesting, especially like horror ones that like use horror as like a medium to tell it in a different kind of horrific kind of way, so they cannot shy away from
Mhm.
certain imagery and things like that. um and I don't know, I think like certain things like that can be really necessary to tell kind of like a ugly duckling, like Cinderella, like beauty standard kind
Mhm.
of thing. I know Carrie had a lot of issues with certain things that she did. I know you hate like things about like people eating things they shouldn't and stuff like that, and just a lot of stuff like that, and things with eyes, I think, is a problem with
So,
Yeah,
music
yeah.
too.
not usually, but yeah, this movie it was hard.
And for me, I hate like hypersexualization that I don't think is necessary at all. And for
Mhm.
me, like this movie's just too foreign in a way. And I mean that, and I like a lot of foreign movies, but this one I'm just like, I don't think a lot of like the sexuality stuff they had in it was necessary. Like I think you could just tell the love and stuff without all that. So that kind of made me uncomfortable. Other than that, yeah, I found I was cringing a little bit to it, like a lot of the stuff Carrie was as well. Although I don't think I'm as squeamish stuff like that. But it was a lot. Which if you are someone who loves like body horror and like gore and things like that, and to see what length someone will go to, be beautiful. I think you will enjoy the movie. If you like kind of like off takes of stories you already know, but like a new telling of it. And I will say, I think that the like the cinematography and a lot of that stuff, like the dreamlike stuff, was really, really good as well. Um, but I don't think this is one I'm gonna want to watch again or anything like that. So I could say I thought it was interesting, but I didn't really like it all that much overall. Um, and so it's a recommendation if you like the things that we've mentioned about it. If you like that type of horror, then you probably will enjoy it. And now we'll move on to spoiler discussion. Um, Carrie, did you want to start with any spoilers?
Man, that tape, I could not watch that. That was horrible.
Was rough.
Oh,
I knew you were gonna say that.
so much of that movie was so rough. I just like, but that tapeworm was the worst.
Can I be honest? The tapeworm, to me, it was hard to watch. The hardest part, like I had to cringe at this part, and it's such a simple thing. It's her nose job in this movie
Mm-hmm.
because it's just let's take the spike and let's break your nose. And I like cringed. I was like, oh my God. And he doesn't do it once. He does it multiple times. And you hear the impact of it. You don't like you see the first one and it starts bleeding and then you hear the impact. And I like cringed at that one. I was like, oh, like the lengths that she's willing to go for this beauty standards is insane.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of gore. Like there's something in here that'll get you whatever you're freaked out by. Like there's something in here for everybody. If you're freaked out by mouth stuff, eye stuff, nose stuff, foot stuff, like
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. She's like cutting off her toes.
oh, she cuts off the wrong toe.
The wrong foot.
Oh my God. That was horrible.
I was watching it, I was like, they look like hot dogs. Like they just cut clean with that cleaver.
Yeah. So
the eye stuff gets me as well. I just
that's what this movie is. It's kind of like face value what you think it is. When someone describes it to you, someone deforming themselves to be more beautiful, and then you're just like, you should just stay the way you are, kind of a deal. It's like the message is you're beautiful how you are. Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she was beautiful, without any of that, and a lot of it was like her mother forcing her into this stuff or setting that expectation, and then like all the things she did to try to make herself look more beautiful kind of like backfired on her and made her feel worse. And obviously she went through like all that pain too. So like
yeah.
And also like going back to what I said before, maybe I was the only one, but I seriously thought that that this was going to go a different direction. I thought this was going to be like a story of the ugly stepsister becoming, the pretty one and taking it out on the popular evil stepsister. And I like that it kind of flipped, where like the the main character is the villain of the story, and the one that we see kind of being mean at the beginning is actually Cinderella. She's the one that ends up with the prince at the end.
Yeah. I thought it was cool how like she doesn't even really like love the prince. She's just trying to marry him for the money,
For the family, yeah, for the money.
family. So I thought that was like a cool, like interesting little twist on the story too. And that the prince is like horrible.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, of course. He's an asshole.
Well,
Let me get my notebook.
and on that note,
And on that note, the prince is an asshole.
Prince is an asshole, and we're moving on to
Yeah.
our rankings. So we'll go ahead just real quick and we'll rattle off, starting with Hunter, then me, then Carrie. We'll rattle off our rankings from 6 to 1. So Hunter, give us your number 6 all the way to your number 1.
All right, my number 6 is Drop. My number 5 is Him. My number 4 is Together. My number 3 is The Ugly Stepsister. My number 2 is 28 Years Later, and my number 1 is Frankenstein.
All right. My number 6 is Him. My number 5 is The Ugly Stepsister. My number 4 is Drop. My number 3 is Together. My number 2 is 28 Years Later. And my number 1 is Frankenstein.
We had almost the same rankings. So my number 6 was Him. My number 5 was The Ugly Stepsister. It just, that movie's not for me. It's not, I respect it. It's not for me.
That's fair.
Number 4 is Drop. Number 3 is Together. Number 2 is Frankenstein. And number 1 is 28 Years Later.
That's really funny. I like that we almost had the same one.
No,
I think there'll be surprises here. Upset.
And Carrie will tabulate our overall ranking and give it to you now.
Okay. Well, wait, no. Hold on.
I'm gonna do it in editing.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I snapped.
All right.
And then you
So number overall.
start it again.
Okay. Our overall ranking is at number 6, Him. At number 5, Drop. At number 4, The Ugly Stepsister. At number 3, what's Together. At number 3, Together. I couldn't read my own writing. At number 2, 28 Years Later, and at number 1, Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's a great ranking.
I think that's good.
All right, we did a good job, and we talked a lot about a lot of interesting films here. So we're making our way through films that we didn't talk about in 2025. We may see if there's another batch. I know that there's gonna be. We didn't talk The Monkey or Screamboat or a lot of
Do
movies.
we have to talk about Screamboat?
Maybe.
Other movies we can talk about.
I've heard Screamboat's actually not that bad. We'll see. But I'm saying there's other movies we can talk about, or we may just decide to just move on. But the point is, we want to do more roundups, and it's going to take us a while to get 6 2026 horror movies that we can
I just say for the record, I think the 2020s so far is the best decade of horror. Like when you look at
we're
overall,
only like halfway through the 2020s.
I know, but
I think that's like really early to say something like that. But it's
2022 just by itself had so many classics. Like that was just in 1 year. So
yeah, I mean, it's maybe not far off, but I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that. But it's definitely a good one. And a lot that we still haven't covered, I'm sure. But as we go on to do more roundups, maybe we'll go back in time a little bit to like things we missed in 2024 and 23 and 22 and all on and stuff. But yeah, if you have any ideas for roundups you would like to see, let us know in the comments. Tell us what you thought about these movies. If you have a ranking yourself, drop it in the comments. And otherwise, Hunter, I think you should go ahead and close it out.
All right, guys, if you did enjoy this, please hit that like button, subscribe to Welcome to Prime Time, and remember, stay scared.
Damn, Gary, you can't even look at the camera when we're signing. It's not get. She's over here scrolling on fucking Instagram or something while we're talking. Like, bro, respect the channel.
I know.
I think we should go into doing more